A warm welcome to all of you. Now, through this video, my intention is to give a brief introduction about the subject Geo-Environmental Engineering. We'll straight away move on to the introduction part now. See, we engineers often form the bridge between science and society, and therefore we are very much responsible in coming up with the most efficient and effective solution to most of the issues or problems faced by our society or our environment. Now, in order to address these problems or issues, sometimes we may have to bring in people or we may require the expertise and knowledge of different resource persons belonging to different areas of study. Okay, so geo-environmental engineering is one such branch or one such area which brings in together people, expert people from different branches of engineering as well as different branches of science in order to address the issues related to our earth as well as our ecosystem. Okay, so basically we are trying to address certain issues related to our land and environment. So we'll see what those issues are. So as I said, there are different land environmental problems which we face, okay, and which geo environmental engineering is trying to address. Now, in general, we can call them as either naturally made problems or it can be human made problems. So, naturally made problems can be attributed to the natural events or natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, or landslides, which causes the disruption of our land and environment. Now, there is like a long list of human made activities also which causes land environmental problems. Now, for me, the first and foremost issue human made due to human made activities, obviously due to the mismanagement of waste in our society and in our country. I don't know, for some reason, even though there are guidelines for handling different types of waste also, people are not following it to the dot, and because of which what happens is that ultimately you will find tons of waste just accumulated over barren lands. And then what happens? It just results in air pollution, water pollution. It becomes a breeding place for animals, and a complete disaster occurs there itself. Okay, so mismanagement of waste and improper containment of waste is one of the most highlighted human made activities which causes land environmental problems. Okay, now other than that, there is activities which are not directly related to waste production and management. What could it be? This is also something we know, that is our construction practices, which ultimately leads to deforestation, then it leads to erosion of slopes or failure of slopes. So a sequence of events happen due to our construction activities. Okay, so that is also a very big issue or a major land environmental issue due to human activity that we face. And then obviously, as I said, you will have pollution of groundwater. You will face pollution of other water bodies as well from non-point sources. Now, from non-point sources means it can be from or it can be due to agricultural practices or forestry practices that we humans do, where we use most of the fertilizers and chemicals and pesticides. It will also result in the pollution of these water bodies and groundwater. Okay, or it can be either due to the waste products that we generate from livestock operations. Okay, that is also a reason for polluting the water bodies, be it groundwater or the other water bodies. Okay, so these are the different natural and human made land environmental problems which we face. So, though there are several land environmental problems as we saw earlier, our focus of study for now will be on the human made activities due to the mismanagement of waste and improper containment of waste. Okay, so what happens due to that? As I said, ultimately it results in our air pollution, soil pollution, groundwater pollution, etc. So, these two pictures will clearly give you an idea about what I'm talking about here. As I said, due to mismanagement, finally your waste, your tons of waste which is generated every day will end up in barren lands. Okay, and this waste will be open to your environment. And when something so complex is open to environment, naturally there is going to be a lot of reactions happening within the waste and with the environment and with the soil below, and ultimately it is going to result in air pollution, water pollution, soil pollution. Okay, so we'll be dealing with this issue for the rest of our syllabus. Okay, so we'll try to explain the land environmental problem regarding waste mismanagement using this pictorial representation. Okay, so here this blue trapezoid, it represents the waste dump. So as I said, there are different types of waste that we have to deal with. There is municipal solid waste, which we normally collect from all the corporations and dump it somewhere. And then we have the hazardous waste, which is the most difficult type of waste to handle and deal with. And then we have the construction and demolition waste. Okay, so these are the major classification of waste, major type of waste. So we have guidelines laid down by our um, you know organizations for dealing with the different types of waste differently. Okay, so we don't usually bring in these three types of waste together and dump it somewhere. It's not practically or ethically correct, right? So normally what we do is we'll collect all the municipal solid waste from the different corporations, and then we dump it on some open lands or barren lands, right? So over a period of years this will get accumulated like this. Okay, your waste dump will go up to a height of 5 meter, 4 meter, or even 10 meters, 20 meters, you never know, because over a period of years, if nothing is uh, going to take place, this will just get accumulated. Okay, and then what happens? See, your municipal solid waste itself is a complex mix of various types of materials, right? It has paper, plastic, textiles, and all the dyes with it. So there are different, it's a complexity of materials which is occurring within the municipal solid waste, right? So what happens is that over a period of time, the waste dump is sitting like this over the ground. What happens? Naturally, there will be interactions between these waste materials, and due to which, finally, there will be a new substance formed. Okay. See, a very simple way to explain this is you dump all different types of waste from your household onto a particular dustbin. Okay, and after so many days, if you're not moving that out, you will find that at the bottom of your dustbin, okay, you will find some liquid which has formed, right? So this is due to the interaction between the different materials that you had dumped into that dustbin. Okay, so same way, imagine tons of material being dumped onto barren land, and which is open to atmosphere. So obviously it will have it will get opportunity to carry out many interactions or reactions with each other, and as a result of that, a new substance will be formed, which you can call it as leachate. Okay, so leachate is actually the liquid which is generated within the waste fill over a period of years. Now, this leachate will carry all the harmful chemicals and everything from the waste dump. Okay, now imagine this leachate percolating into your soil, right? So, it results in the soil pollution, right? Because this leachate will be carrying all those chemicals which it has received from the waste dump. Okay, so then finally, once the leachate reaches the soil, there will be a whole new level of interaction that is going to happen between the soil, water, and this waste material or the leachate. Okay, so basically leachate means it will the soil will be interacting with the the chemicals present in the leachate in the presence of water. Okay, so all those soil water waste interactions will be occurring beneath your ground surface. Okay, and imagine your leachate, if it percolates way below, and that too if it is able to intercept your water table, then your groundwater table is also getting polluted here. Okay, and since this waste dump is open to atmosphere, as I said, naturally it will become a breeding place for all the animals, and there will be high odors emanating from this waste dump, which will cause many health issues for the um, nearby residents who are residing in that area. So there are various, so that is what I'm saying. Such type of open dumps or waste dumps ultimately results in air pollution, water pollution, as well as soil pollution. Okay, so this is one of the major land environmental issue created due to human made activity. Okay. So once your leachate or the substance that is generated due to the various interaction of materials within the waste fill, that percolates into your subsoil below, what happens is that this leachate or this substance, liquid substance, will be carrying all the major pollutants or possible chemicals from the waste fill into your soil, right? So then then ultimately it results in an interaction between soil, then the water present in the soil, and this contaminants which the leachate has carried into the soil. Okay, so we as a geo-environmental engineer should be very clear with the various interactions or reactions which are possible between soil, waste, and water. Okay, so for that we need to understand what will be the fate of the contaminants. Now, fate means it's a term which which indicates the life cycle of the contaminants once it is released into the subsoil. Okay, so as I said, the leachate will carry all the possible contaminants or pollutants from the waste fill into the subsoil below. So once that contaminants are released into the subsoil, we need to understand its cycle, or we need to understand the processes which are going to occur. Okay, so that is what is meant by the fate of contaminants. Okay, so as a geo-environmental engineer, we should be well equipped with that knowledge, or we should be very well thorough with the fate of the contaminants, so that based on that we'll be able to assess the level of contamination that has taken place in the soil, etc. And what is the we can assess the risk or threat posed by these contaminants to humans and organisms. Okay, so that is the reason why we need to understand the soil water waste interactions. Okay, so we'll be studying in detail what are the different soil water waste interactions that occur in our later classes. Okay, so we know that open dumps are one of the major land environmental issues created by human beings. Okay, so now what can a geo environmental engineer do here? Okay, so basically what a geo environmental engineer should try to do is restrict the interaction of this waste dump with the surrounding environment, that is with the atmosphere as well as with the subsoil below, right? So in order to do that, he has to come up with a unique concept of waste containment. And that concept is called as a landfill, or that's how the landfills came into origin. Okay, so landfills are actually an engineered facility which is constructed to contain the waste. Okay, in such a manner that there will be a reduced interaction. Okay, we cannot always say it will be zero interaction, but there will be reduced interaction with the surrounding atmosphere, soil, and water. Okay, so that is what landfills are trying to achieve. So they are engineered systems, so designed and planned and constructed in a proper way, so that there is almost no pollution happening. due to waste dumps. Okay, so what we have to do, just have a look at this waste dump. If you have a waste dump like this which is open to atmosphere, and if you want to contain it, what do you have to do? Just imagine a thick bottomed vessel. Okay, thick bottomed vessel, and inside the thick bottom vessel you are going to put your waste. Okay, and you will be dumping it every day tons of waste will be dumped onto it, and then finally you will be closing that thick bottom vessel with a lid. What happens? The whole waste is contained within this vessel, right? So this is exactly how a landfill looks like. Okay, that is, this is your vessel inside which you have your waste and you cover it with a lid. So your whole waste is contained in this vessel. So if we have something like an open dump here, what you need to do is, in order to restrict its interaction with the atmosphere, you will have to put a cover over this waste dump. Okay. And then, in order to restrict its interaction with the soil and prevent the leachate from percolating below, then you'll have to put a liner system at the bottom of the waste dump. Okay, so this is what a landfill looks like. And the purpose of landfill is to restrict that air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution due to waste fills. Okay. Now, so actually we'll be studying in detail about these landfills in the coming modules, where we will be in detail discussing about the designing of landfills, the types of landfills, how do we construct landfills and its sequence of construction, and the monitoring of landfills. So everything will be covered in detail in the coming modules. Okay. So in order to give you an idea about the dump sites that is already existing in our state. Okay, I have taken here two pictures as references. So this first picture, it is actually a dumping site at Kuripura, which is, and this is our Ashtamudi Lake. So this dumping site, it is along the banks of the Ashtamudi Lake. Okay, so I have personally gone there last year and visited it. This was actually, see, the corporation had started with the intention of building a waste management plant there. Okay, and with that intention, they started, depositing waste over this Kuripura site that is along the banks of, it's very close to Ashtamudi Lake. Okay, so they started dumping waste over here, but what happened is that the plant never came into action. Okay, so due to which the waste accumulation kept happening over years and years, and that resulted in serious environmental issues, because there were many locals, like 500 residents and all, residing within a 100-meter radius itself, and they all started having, or they all started facing serious health issues, then water contamination, groundwater contamination, etc. And obviously it became a breeding ground for the animals, and there was a lot of bad odor emanating from this waste dump sites. So you will not believe, actually the height of these waste dumps and all would go up to 10 meters or so minimum. Okay, but now and what happened is that, now they have stopped dumping the waste, because the locals had filed complaint against the corporation, stating the issue, health issue and environmental issue, and finally now they have stopped dumping the waste. The same scenario actually happened at another place, that is Vilappilshala at Trivandrum. Here also the corporation had started this with the intention of creating a waste management plant. The plant never came into picture, only the accumulation of waste started happening, and so you can see the tons of waste which is accumulated there. This also became a huge nuisance for the local residents, and they strongly fought against it, and this is also currently a closed dumping yard due to those issues. Okay, so these are two of the major dumping sites which caused serious environmental influences, like both there was environmental pollution as well as health issues suffered by humans. Okay. So, if you want to understand a proper land environmental problem such as pollution or contamination of land, then you need to clearly work out what are the different elements of the problem. Okay, so basically, if it's going to be a contaminated land which is presented before a geo environmental engineer, then he has to properly do a thorough site investigation as well as site investigation to understand what are the surrounding areas and everything, and what are the possible uh, receptors of this contaminants. Okay, for that purpose he has to do a thorough site investigation and site inspection, and obviously finally you need to understand what are the type of contaminants that has gone into your subsoil. So for the same purpose we'll do the same procedure we do for a normal site subsoil profile analysis. What we do, we have different types of tests where we can collect soil samples from various depths, and then we can analyze. We can here, if we want to understand what are the type of contaminants, then we'll have to do chemical analysis of those soils to understand the type of contaminants present in soil, right? So basically, in order to arrive at a proper solution, or in order to rectify remediate a contaminated land, you will have to understand the nature of the pollutants or the contaminants. Okay, so basically that will be known to you only if you conduct a proper subsoil profile investigation through some test. Okay, just like how you conduct a normal subsoil profile test before you start any sort of project. So, and then you should understand, obviously you will be conducting the test not only at a particular location, but you will be conducting the test up to a particular radius, right, in order to understand the extent of contamination that has occurred over that area. So that will give you an idea about the range or the movement of the contaminants that has occurred so far, and you will have an idea whether it is still moving or not, and then how toxic is the pollutants, because once you analyze what are the different contaminants present in the soil after carrying out the various chemical tests, then you will understand how toxic the uh, pollutants are. Okay, and finally when you have an idea about all of these things, you will then sit and plan for a proper remediation of that contaminated land. So obviously it is very difficult to bring back the contaminated land to its original state and to its original pristine form, but still to some extent what a geoenvironmental engineer can do is he can try to prevent further contamination happening within that area. Okay, so as you saw, the any land environmental issue is a very complex problem which involves many small elements to it. Okay, so it actually requires the you know expertise, or we need to seek advice from us all resource persons belonging to all possible branches of engineering, especially geotechnical and environmental engineering, as well as water resources engineering also, and from different branches of science as well. So it's only a group effort which can help in solving a land environmental issue. And as I said, we'll be dealing with only ground contamination and subsoil contamination due to waste in our syllabus. Now in the next class, I'll be taking up the topic on waste, the different types of waste and its classification and management of waste. So thank you all.